Hello, welcome to Soulprint Insights. I'm really glad you're here today. Today, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about angels, like guardian angels, spirit guides, guardians, because we all have them. And some of us have very close relationships with those energy forms, and some of us not so much. But hopefully today, not only will we gain a little bit more understanding about kind of their functions, but also how to connect with them. So, first of all, everybody is born with angels, okay? Angels come with them from, the time they are in physical form, and they don't leave until the time they are back in energy form. So we have them with us all our lives. Now, that doesn't mean that we have the same angels with us all our lives. And in fact, we may have one or two that travel with us continually through the experience. But very often, angels will sort of come and go. They shift as our life shifts. One of the best examples of this is when, women give birth. There is, generally speaking, an angel that comes into play, and that angel and the guardian angel of the infant have like a two-way communication. And that is how, or that is part of the reason how, that sort of mother's intuition and father's intuition kicks in. So you're actually receiving messages, insights, intuitive feelings as they are being relayed from the infant's angel to your angel to you. But the thing is that we can have angels for any number of things. And most important, we can call on angels for any number of things. So I, for example, was in quite a bad car accident a bunch of years ago. And even before then, to tell the truth, which is, I think, why I wasn't hurt worse than I was. I have always had a driving angel that literally comes with me whenever I get in the car and turn on the ignition. People have muses or artistic angels. People have angels that they specifically call on to help them with clarity or to help them as they move through the challenges, of their physical existence. There are also archangels, and we can certainly call on them, and they have sort of they're very incredibly powerful beings, but they also have sort of almost like specialized areas. But beyond that, they also have sort of these little sub areas, if you will, that you can rely on them for, you can turn to them for. One of my favorite is Archangel Michael. Okay, so Archangel Michael, and I know there's a whole bunch of people out there who call it Archangel, is who you would call on for protection, right? I mean, he is the protection angel. But you can also use him, ask him to help you if you are having trouble with mechanical things. So, computer, a car. Now, it's not like he's going to swoop in and fix it, but what can happen is you can all of a sudden get an idea about, oh, maybe if I push this button instead of that button, maybe I can get out of the screen I'm locked in. Or, maybe this doesn't look really serious, but something's telling me I really need to get a hold of my mechanic and, set up an appointment. That kind of thing. So, and I mean, Archangel Gabrielle is, very effective for communications. She can be called on for childbirth, conceiving. So, there's all kinds of these sort of subcategories. So certainly spending some time reading about or Googling the archangels and what they do, it's always very enlightening and informative. And, it might interest you to do that. But getting back to the ones that really do surround us. So there are angels. There are spirit energy. Now, and that energy can be, in some cases, sort of, I'm going to use the word human, so it holds a human projection, right? That's how we would see it or understand that energy. But you can also have animal spirit guides, and they also have different functions. And in fact, it's not unusual for people to have a different spirit, usually animal, but not always, that resonates or corresponds to the various chakras. So again, that's a really interesting thing. If you know that there, for example, is an angel or a energy form or a guardian that you can reach out to, say, for example, to ask for additional protection or additional clarity. If you are meditating, or if you are, doing any sort of psychic work where you're opening up those channels to receive information, it's almost endless. And I think that, very often people are like, well, I don't want to bother them, or I don't want to be needy. I don't want to ask for stuff for myself. I will, in a heartbeat, ask for stuff for somebody else, but not for myself. And the thing is that they're there at your disposal. They are there to help and guide and support. So not using them, in some ways, is sort of reducing their power and ability to actually help you. The only time a spirit or an angel can actually intervene is if you are literally in mortal danger, okay? But other than that, you have to ask for their help. You have to ask for their guidance. And, this can be as convoluted and complex as you want, or it can literally be as simple as, please come forward, I need help. Okay? So that's important to remember. Now you also have something called a gatekeeper, okay? And a gatekeeper is, especially, I want to say, active. If you are somebody who does any sort of, again, psychic work, and I'm just, it's a big, huge umbrella, okay? But that's just how I'm going to label it. The gatekeeper is sort of like your first defense, I guess. They monitor the energy coming at you, and they sort of are able to send away energy if it is not, in your highest interest, if it is not good for you. But again, understand, you have to sort of activate the gatekeeper, right? You can't just know they're there. You have to communicate with them, so that they can rebuff, for example, negative energies that are coming at you, energies of jealousy or hate or that kind of thing. They can rebuff it if you ask them to. And they also have a very fundamental job of basically allowing, or not allowing in some cases, energy from other energy beings to enter. So let's say, for example, I don't know, you're having a dream, or you're getting a vision, or you just are aware that, for example, somebody maybe who has passed on has come and are visiting you, okay? They moved through the energy of the gatekeeper to get to you, okay? So that's kind of their function, is they sort of know, I guess, who you should be protected from, who is sort of welcome in your circle of energy. Now, angels talk to us in a vast variety of ways. And, you know, you guys know this, all right? I mean, feathers and coins. Um, Very often they will send, you know, animals. Very often things like butterflies or dragonflies, um, birds. Those are often kind of sent to get a message. But there's all kinds of other ways that they can communicate with you. Certainly, they can communicate with you with that sort of intuitive sense, that knowing. They can communicate to you by sending out messages via song, um, in books, in movies. They can send out messages that they especially want you to resonate to, that would cause you, for example, to notice a billboard as you're driving. You know, perhaps you've driven by it 100 times, but for some reason today you actually read it and there's something about that that triggers a response in you or reminds you of something that you wanted to do or need to do. So there's all of these kinds of communications. And again, it's really, really helpful if you reach out to your angels, for example, and say, um, I'm kind of, maybe I'm not the most observant person in the world. And so maybe when you send me butterflies or birds, I don't actually notice that. So maybe could you send me messages of your presence, etc., in some other format? Maybe I tend to pay more attention to sound, or maybe I tend to pay more attention to the written word. And they can actually sort of work with you to find ways to communicate with you so that that communication can be clearer, and more helpful and more concise. Now, you know, you can also, of course, do meditations to connect with your angels. Prayer, of course, that's another way to do it, right? You can send a prayer out. But you can often meet your angels through a guided meditation. And for those of you who are maybe new to this channel or would like to do it again, if you go into the library of the videos on this channel, under meditations, under the subcategory meditations, the playlist, that's the word I'm looking for, you will find all kinds of meditations that have already been recorded and are available to you. And there are several about connecting with your angels, talking to your angels. So, if you've been with me for a while, maybe you might want to revisit that. And if you're new, please, I encourage you to go check out the playlist that already exists under this Soulprint Insights channel. So it is very, very helpful to, work at connecting sometimes. And this is the thing, when you're communicating with an angel, they you really, really have to develop that instinct, that sort of that trust that you are not making this stuff up, that you are not putting words in your own head. So let's say, for example, you were in a place that is still, and you were wanting to find out the name, for example, of one of your more predominant angels. So you would simply sit quietly and say, literally, can you tell me your name? Now, usually very quickly what will happen is this name will pop into your head. Okay, it'll just pop in, and all of a sudden you don't quite know why, but this name is there. That is a message from them. Sometimes you will start to see a name repetitively. So after you see the same name 3 or 4 times, you know that is actually how they chose to answer the question. Speaking of meditation, I also want to just touch on this. There's a lot of people out there who are very successful at kind of, going very still and very quiet, and reaching that very, very calm meditative state. And that's fabulous. And, it's a wonderful, wonderful ability. However, there are just as many of you out there who are saying, well, that's lovely, Cyndy, except I can't meditate. I can't still my mind. I can't shut off. I just can't even be still that long. Well, we all do something called sort of, I kind of call it like awake meditation, right? Um, that it's a state. It's a place that you go to mentally. That when you are, for example, jogging or gardening or washing the dishes or, doing something that is like repetitive, but you really don't need your brain to be engaged that much to do it. Okay? That is like an awake meditation, and that is very often where you can get some really amazing information and insights and guidance. And we know a shower, I don't know why, but angels love to talk to us in the shower. But it's like you hold an idea or a thought or a concern or a problem in your mind, and you go into one of these sort of awake meditations, right? And you jump in the shower with a problem. By the time you jump out, you've kind of got a different perspective on it, or there's something that came into your mind that you think, oh, I should try that or do that or whatever. So for those of you who cannot go to that very, very quiet, still place, perhaps you are one of those people who in fact meditates a lot. They just don't recognize it as a meditation, but in fact, that is what is happening. Also, it can be very helpful to, if you really are trying to get into that like sort of meditative state, it can be very helpful to use guided meditations where somebody is sort of like talking you through it, so that you're a part of your focus is on listening to what they are saying and having that experience that way. So there's so many ways that we can connect with our angels. And if you think about them sort of like not as this amazing, amazing being, and of course they are, but if you really think of them more as a guardian, a friend, someone you can turn to, someone you can receive advice from, that is actually really helpful. And it goes a long way to opening up those communications. So it's just important that, you don't look for information to come to you in one way or one form. It will come to you in many, many different forms, depending on the information, the circumstances, etc. I have even been known to, for example, if I'm trying to find a service, okay, and I'm old enough that you'll know, a phone book, like the yellow pages, as opposed to going into the computer. But literally opening up the yellow pages to the category and just saying, guide me to the place that that is going to be the best fit for me, or I'm going to get the best service, or whatever it is. And then you just sort of scan the pages and something will pop out. Something will all of a sudden grab your attention or you'll notice it. One of the other ways that you can have really amazing conversations with angels is by understanding that they can speak to you numerically. So this was something that Doreen Virtue actually, I think, brought it a little bit maybe more to the forefront. So there are certain numbers or certain repetitive numbers that you can attribute to guidance or angelic guidance. So everybody, the 111, right? Everybody sees 111 and you to know why you keep seeing that. But there are sort of any combination of numbers can actually be a message once you understand the um, language, I guess. So that is something also that some of you may find very interesting and very helpful. I personally use that method a lot. So, and especially with license plates. So if I'm driving around and I'm holding a thought or a question in my head, when I start seeing the same sequence of numbers 2 and 3 and 4 times, that is when I know that I need to interpret that set of numbers because, in fact, it is a message. Speaking of license plates, you can also get messages by, for example, seeing a license plate that has your initials on it. Personalized plates are often very good for receiving a message. My personal plate says, "Talk to angels." So if somebody's behind me and they're having a hard time, and maybe they're just going through something and they see that plate, the angels could literally be using that plate to get a message to that person. So, you can watch out for things like that. They're all around us, and they use all kinds of ways to communicate with us. So part of it is just simply opening yourself up to the experience, trusting those thoughts or ideas or intuitions that come to you. And you can always ask for confirmation. So let's say, for example, I'm going to go back to the angel name. So let's say, for example, you ask for a name and you receive this impression in your head, okay? And you think, oh, okay, the name is, Joseph, okay? Well, you can always say, can you confirm that for me? And if it is a common name, and sometimes they're not, but if it's a more common name, you may then see that name popping up, I don't know, on your television, on your computer, in a book. And so if you're alert, you can get these kinds of confirmations. It's important to really, I think if I want to get any message to you with this little video I'm putting out today, it is that it's incredibly helpful if you start thinking about communications with your angels or your guardians, your spirit guides, as a two-way street. Okay. You ask a question, they give you an answer. You respond to the answer, they respond. It really can be a back and forth kind of communication. And sometimes, given whatever circumstances, you may almost like ignore them for long periods of time because you're just in a place where there is a connection there and you're trusting the information you're getting, or you're just going with your gut, your instinct, and it's all fine. There are also times, though, where we're going through a situation where we really, really do turn to them and rely on them and depend on them to help. And that is when you are really able to utilize this whole idea of a two-way conversation. So I think that's it for now. Thank you so, so much for being here at Soulprint Insights. To my new subscribers, welcome. I'm delighted that you have found this channel. Most of you, of course, have come over from the Soulprint Intuitive Tarot channel, and I thank you for that. I think that I really encourage you to go look at the playlist on this channel and see if there is other information that maybe you heard once and it bears repeating, or meditations. But there's really a treasure trove of interesting stuff on this channel in the playlist. So I encourage you to check those out. As always, I thank you for your subscriptions, your likes, your comments, and your shares. It's just all absolutely lovely. For those of you who may be looking for a private reading, in the description box below, you will also see an email address that you can send me an email getting the information or question, the information on how to reach out to me to get that information. So For now, always remember, stand in your light and stand in your power. Bye.